The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, requires each state to develop a state performance plan and annual performance report, also known as SPP-APR, that evaluates the state's efforts to implement the requirements and purposes of the IDEA and describes how the state will improve its special education implementation. The SPP APRs include indicators that measure child and family outcomes, as well as other indicators that measure compliance with the requirements of the IDEA. The indicators in Part B of IDEA fall into three monitoring priority areas. First, provision of a free, appropriate public education, also known as FAPE, in the least restrictive environment, sometimes referred to as LRE. Second, state exercise of general supervision, including child find, effective monitoring, the use of resolution meetings, mediation, and a system of transition services. Third, disproportionate representation of racial and ethnic groups in special education and related services, to the extent that the representation is the result of inappropriate identification. The South Carolina Office of Special Education Services must set targets on the indicators that involve student performance. We have a series of recorded presentations in order to get stakeholder feedback on the proposed targets. Indicator 6 measures the percent of children with IEPs aged 3 to 5 attending a regular early childhood program and receiving the majority of special education and related services in the regular early childhood program, or a separate special education class / separate school / residential facility. 5-year-olds in kindergarten are not included in this count. Again, 5-year-olds that are in kindergarten are not included in this count. On this slide, you can see historically both the target and the actual percentage. We used the historical data to help us make decisions about the new proposed targets. Part A is children with IEPs age 3 to 5 attending a regular early childhood program and receiving the majority of special education and related services in the regular early childhood program. The solid blue line represents the actual data from previous years, and the dotted blue line shows the trend of the data and projects it out through the new SPP. Part B, children with IEPs age 3 to 5 receiving the majority of special education and related services in a separate special education class, separate school, or separate residential facility. The solid blue line represents the actual data from previous years, and the dotted blue line shows the trend of the data and projects it out through the new SPP. On this slide, you can see proposed targets for the new SPP. If you look back at the old data and trends, these targets are in line and they are attainable. New to the SPP APR package is Indicator 6. While we have always collected this data, it is a new requirement that we submit with targets to the federal government. Historically, the number of preschool-aged children receiving special education services has been only around 1%, with the exception of the 2020 data, which has increased likely due to the pandemic. The least restrictive environment for preschool-aged children is considered where a child would be if they did not have a disability, and some young children would be at home. Indicator 6 is different than homebound services in older grades. Because this is a new component to SPP APR reporting, there are no historical targets to report. So we will rely on stakeholder input to set targets for the next 5 years for Indicator 6C. A variety of stakeholder input, including parents, teachers, and district leadership, is needed to set these targets for 6C in order to reflect the needs of South Carolinians and in order to improve Indicator 6. To increase this target means that there is an agreement that OSIS should support district leadership in building infrastructure to offer more itinerant special education service delivery in order to include home as a placement for young children. To decrease this target means that you believe young children with disabilities, including 3-year-olds, need more access to classroom experiences, and only a few children, if any, should receive special education services at home. This is the proposed goal for the Early Childhood Focus Group. During the 21-22 school year, the Office of Special Education Services Early Childhood Focus Group will support LEA's efforts to build infrastructure, policies, and practices to support an effective early childhood workforce through high-quality, inclusive early childhood environments so children with disabilities aged 3 through 5 but not yet kindergarten will be served in the least restrictive environment. Early childhood focus group actions include creating differentiated professional development to include training on best practices, as well as continued collaborative efforts to include intensive technical assistance for districts. In other words, we plan to create differentiated professional development activities and continue the collaborative efforts with our technical assistance partners in order to support the achievement of our goal. What does this mean for you as a teacher? As a teacher, this means you will have opportunities for professional, reflective growth in practices that will improve outcomes for students with unique needs. Our intention was to provide you with information about the State Performance Plan, SPP, and the newly proposed target for Indicator 6, as well as how through our established goal and activities, we, as the early childhood team at the Office of Special Education Services, plan to provide consistent, collaborative, proactive direction and support that is focused in the areas of early childhood outcomes so that students can meet the profile of the South Carolina graduate with world-class knowledge, world-class skills, and life and career characteristics. We hope this information will enable you to have a richer understanding of our plan, and we look forward to your feedback. Thank you so much.